Yolanda Perdomo, Küresel Turizm Stratejisti, ICF. Hello, how are you? Thank you, thank you. Please have a seat. Ve Louisa Winton, Mukim temsilcisi, UNDP Turkey adına geliyorlar sahnemize. Hello, how are you? Please have a seat. I'm
Hello, Lisa.
fine,
How are
thank you.
you? Please meeting you. How are you?
Please have a seat. Bir de Zoom bağlantılarımızı kontrol edelim. Eğer hazırlarsa Dan Fenton, JLL Başkan Yardımcısı ve Mehmet Kutman, Global Yatırım Holding CEO'su.
Me han dicho que me pusiera aquí.
Zoom bağlantılarımız da hazır olduğunda. When you're ready,
Okay, yeah, we are ready.
you're ready, then you're
Let
going to
me say
see
my
the
panelists.
connections. Yes.
Hi, hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone here
Yes.
in the hybrid world now that, you know, one of the things that pandemic brought to us is that we can become more democratic, being able to spread our message not only in the place that we sit, but as well around, and we can have, you know, participants from all around the globe. Well, thank you very much, TTYD, Oya, Chair and President, members of WTTC, dear colleagues, for inviting me and inviting WTTC to be here in the second International and Tourism Investment Forum. We have been discussing today about how important is tourism. Julia was this morning sharing with you some of our figures. We were, you know, pre-pandemic, 10% of the global GDP was because of travel and tourism. We went through this pandemic, unfortunately, and now we are recovering, but the numbers are looking like quite promising, so we expect over the next few years, actually in 2023, to go back to 2019, but over the next few years, we expect to grow above the global economy. We will be growing by 5.4%, and the global economy is going to be around 2%, so we are very happy about that, despite of what we went through. As you all know, tourism is a force for good, you know, employment, prosperity, and we can transform things, we can transform destinations, people, and, you know, COVID brought us, you know, many things. One of the things is we accelerated the transformation, not only digitally, but as well when it comes to sustainability. But not only that, travelers needed to adapt. There are new trends now, new perspective, new ways of tourism. And today we are going to be discussing with our fellow panelists what is happening, what are the changes, what, you know, how the tourism destinations are transforming. So I'm going to introduce my speakers, and then we will go to a couple of questions, and I hope that there is going to be like a nice conversation among all of us. So our first, we have Danielle Fenton, Executive VP of JLL, Yolanda Perdomo, Senior Tourism Strategic of ICF Consulting Company, Özcan Bizer, Director IBB Istanbul Tourism Platform, Louisa Vinton, representative of the UNDP Turkey, and Mehmet Kutman, the CEO of Global Yachting Holding and Chairman of Global Port Holding. Thank you very much for joining us today, virtually and in person. And I'm going to give the floor and ask Dan Fenton, which he has an extensive knowledge in market research, tourism development, has managed the renovation of several projects, negotiating contracts, created new approach to destinations. And we have actually launched in Manila a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a report which was called Destination 2030. It's a report that talks about the destination readiness. What makes a city ready for a tourism, for a sustainable travel and tourism growth? So I'm going to ask Dan. Hello, Dan, and thank you for joining us.
How are you?
Can you please summarize a little bit about this study? What has this study showcased to you, and what can you share with the audience? Thank you.
Yeah, Mary Bell, thanks. Really, this study, if you go back to the beginning and how it started, was we really took a hard look at what were some of the things that were going to be important when you think about the notion of tourism readiness. So we studied very carefully all the aspects that are needed when it comes to thinking about a destination and its readiness, and Mary Bell, whether it's investment or readiness for future efforts. And we came up with 70 different data points that you can see in the study, which, by the way, you can find on WTTC's website. You can see the full study and its completion. And we really looked at a myriad of issues or a myriad of opportunities related to getting a feel for literally how ready a destination was based on their current status. So every destination is not the same in terms of their, if you will, the level of time they've sort of been, if you will, active from a tourism perspective. So we looked at areas like scale, meaning what type of volume was currently involved with the destination. We looked at concentration. So we looked at areas, Mary Bell, that we studied, which is the current question of, is the need for the destination tourism management, or is it the need to bring in more visitors? So what's that dynamic of scale that relates to it? We looked at both leisure and business as it relates to current demand drivers. We also looked at environmental readiness, which obviously is a very important topic. So could we see indicators that there were sustainability practices, that there was collaboration related to environmental areas? We looked at urban readiness. So this is infrastructure as it became, and you looked at sort of current infrastructure, where that was. A key area we also studied for the destinations that you'll see, and we're really working on for all destinations, is safety and security, because we know that's a big issue, and we looked at what were some of the current practices. And lastly, in this overall index, Mary Bell, that we worked on together, we looked at policy, because obviously policy is critical when it comes to how, whether it's federal policies, whether it's provincial policies, but how do they support or how do they stimulate the tourism industry currently? So we took a look at all of those, and we really are excited about the fact that we think when it comes to things like someone investing in a destination or in a country, these are the kind of things that you would want to look at to see really how ready and how prepared, if you will, everyone was related to investment and the future of tourism. So Mary Bell, I'll stop there.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Well, as we are now trying to recover our tourism industry, our international travelers, investors, of course, we need the governments to be aligned, to provide the right policy, infrastructure, international. I believe that in this study, you can help destinations to really understand and support them, right?
One of the things, Mary Bell, we realized as we were doing it as a collective, as our collective teams realized, was that there was ways to create a diagnostic from this. So a way to go in and look at all these data points to help destinations and help countries going forward. So we have developed in collaboration with WTTC a diagnostic tool that you can use that we're happy to share, but really going through those areas and kind of a check-in to see where we are and to see where the opportunities might be in the future.
Thank you, Dan. Let's go now, and we can discuss about many other questions I have for you later, but let's continue with our panelists. Yolanda Perdomo is the Senior Tourism Strategy from ICF. She's an expert in sustainability destination management, product development, marketing, tourism intelligence, with over 20 years of professional experience in the public and the private sector. Is a friend of mine as well, so I'm very happy to share this panel with her. So Yolanda, tell us a little bit about what are the most critical aspects now that a destination is facing.
We have heard today many trends. All of the panelists have signaled what's happening, what the new visitors are looking for, and I think this is not being translated effectively in a tangible product in destinations. So we know they want more immersive activities. We know, well, we have talked about wellness, about many gastronomy. But then when you visit a destination, you see that perhaps that's happening inside some hotels, but that by itself is not enough. Something must happen around the hotels. And that's a challenge. Why? Because to come up with the right product, to meet the needs of those travelers nowadays, you need to interact with such a bunch of people, with so many stakeholders in the destination, that's a very difficult to do. Then, you know, in the past, we had the traditional tour operators, and they used to do that. They look at the destination from like with a bird eye, and they said, okay, so this is what the hotel needs to be like, because that's what my customer wants, and this is the transportation they need, and this is the kind of restaurant I need. But that disappeared with technology and with internet. And it's only happening in certain places. And in the rest of the world, there's no leadership. So how do you interact with all those people that nowadays it's like you have wineries and markets and fishers and, you know, a lot of people that before, cheesemakers, that were not, they were not part of the tourism product and now need to be part of it because that's what this new traveler is looking for. So the challenge is that you need a governance model to have, you need leadership obviously, you need legitimacy, and you need to put together a model in such a way that you have the public and the private sector working together. In the public sector, you have the local government, the regional one, the national one, and then you have international entities. And that needs to be organized. There is funding. There is public policy at every level that needs to be coordinated. And in the private sector, you have, you know,
all the
sector,
companies.
yeah, the hotels, but then you have all these stakeholders that need to be organized. That for me is the main challenge. And when you have the right product, then you can go and sell your destination in new inbound markets. You can diversify, that was also mentioned before, and also do the right branding and communication. But if that's not done, then certain entities are doing something that is not being effective enough.
Yeah. Thank you, Yolanda. We can zoom in later in the details of the destination. Let me now introduce Özcan Bizer. I hope I said it correctly. He's from IBB Istanbul Tourism Platform, Board of Directors and second chairman at Istanbul branch of the Chamber of City Planners for 10 years, and currently is being chairman of the board of Kentas. It's a public company established for the purpose of transforming the houses at risk into a safe, you know, earthquake-resistant and environmentally friendly structures. As of April 22, he's carrying on as the duty of being the director of Istanbul Tourism Platform of Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality. I would like to ask you, what do you do from this position and what you are looking for Istanbul?
Sunum açabilir miyiz arkadaşlar? Benim bir sunumum olması lazım. Teknik ekibe söylüyorum. Evet. Herkese öncelikle merhaba. Oyan Erdoğan hanımefendiye ve Türkiye Turizm Yatırımcıları Derneği'ne ilk önce bu güzel etkinlik için teşekkür ediyoruz. Bizi bir araya getirdikleri için. Ekrem Başkanımızın selamıyla buradayım. Kendisi katılamadığı için özür diletti ama işte bu yoğunluk ve kaotik bir süreç yönettiğimiz için burada olmayı dilemekle birlikte, bunu biraz yukarı çekeyim o zaman ben. Dilemekle birlikte yerine beni gönderdi. Bugün biraz size turizm platformundan anlatacağım. Turizm platformunu aslında biliyorsunuz. Aslında temelde ne işe yarayacağına dair bir kod değişimiyle ilgili bir şey anlatmaya çalışacağım. Turizm platformu biliyorsunuz aslında İstanbul Büyükşehir Belediyesi seçimlerinden hemen sonra kuruldu ve bu bir aslında think tank olarak düşünülerek kuruldu. İşte içinde 246 tane kurumun olduğu, turizmi düşünen, birlikte proje üretmeyi deneyen ve gitgide de aslında uzun vadede London Partners benzeri bir acaba yatırımlarını da ortak yapmayı başaran bir yapı olabilir mi diye bir soruyla ortaya çıktı. İlk başlangıçta bizim dışımızda İstanbul Yatırım Ajansı da kuruldu o dönemde. Orada London Partners'ın CEO'su da gelerek aslında kendi yapılarını da anlattı. Biraz daha aslında uzun vadede sektörü dinleyen, sektörle konuşan bir yapımız olsun. Bu yapı belediyenin içinde olmasın. İki dünyanın arasında bu ilişkiyi regüle eden, modere eden, akselere eden bir yapı olarak ortaya çıksın istedik. Maalesef pandemi girdi ortaya. Pandemi yüzünden doğrusu şu 1,5 seneyi çok istediğimiz hızda etkinlikte götüremedik ama bir taraftan da turizm platformu bir araya geldiği gün itibariyle ilk yaptığı çalıştayla birlikte 100'e yakın projeyi gündeme aldı. Bir taraftan pandemi döneminde hiç olmazsa turizmin belediye tarafında dinlenmesini, ne olduğunu anlanmasını, ilgili birimlerle turizm sektörünün konuşabileceği, kent yönetiminin turizmin ne işe yaradığını tam olarak anlayacağı. Çünkü gerçekten bu konuda çok zayıf bizim yönetimlerimiz. Bunu itiraf etmek zorundayız. Dolayısıyla böyle bir geliştirme sürecine başladık. Slaytları ben kendim mi geçiyorum buradan arkadaşlar? Doğru mu anlıyorum? Yani işte İstanbul'da bizim başat gördüğümüz turizm türleri, alışveriş turizmi, eğitim turizmi, ekoturizmi, gastronomi turizmi, inanç turizminin hepsi, bunların hepsi bizim İstanbul'umuzda var ve bunların hepsi belli bölgelerde öne çıkıyor, belli dönemlerde öne çıkıyor. Çeşitlilik içeriyor. Dolayısıyla İstanbul aslında birden çok role aday. Eğer iyi kullanabilirsek, doğru pazarlarda kendimizi doğru ifade edebilirsek, bunun bir karşılığı olacağının bilincindeyiz. Özellikle sağlık turizmi mesela son dönemde inanılmaz bir fırsat da sunuyor. Kurulduktan hemen sonra 245 kurum, 370 kişi temsilciden oluşan bu yapı bir çalıştay yaptı ve 100 proje üretti. Sol tarafta aslında platformun DNA'sını görüyorsunuz. Yani İBB birimlerinin içinde olduğu, sektör örgütlerinin içinde olduğu, meslek odalarının içinde olduğu, dernek, vakıf ve STK'ların içinde olduğu, üniversitelerden akademisyenlerin içinde olduğu, bir de hani bizim duayen diyebileceğimiz insanların, bilgi insanlarımızın içinde olduğu bir yapı kurduk. Bu aslında herhangi bir konuyu ele aldığımız zaman tüm tarafların dahil olabileceği bir norm olsun diye kurulan bir yapı. Sonra da şuna dönüştü. Gördüğünüz yapı aslında bir merkezi mutfak ve çekirdekten oluşuyor. Komisyonlar ikiye ayrıldı. Bir tarafı turizmin türlerine göre, uzmanlıklarına göre, diğeri de işlevlerine göre. İşte bir tarafta alışveriş ve diğer türel dağılımları görüyorsunuz ama bir taraftan da biraz daha aslında kent yönetiminin ilgilenmesi gereken destinasyon yönetimi, safe turizm, güvenlik turizm, işte engelsiz turizm diyeceğimiz herkes için turizm, İstanbul rotalarının geliştirilmesi dahil infrastructure'ın, turizmin altyapısını geliştireceği komisyonları kurduk. Son dönemde de bunu biraz daha mikro bir hale getirip tarihi yarımadada 9 tane alt bölgeye çevirdik bizim tarihi yarımadamızı. O alt bölgelerde de artık oradaki esnafın, otelcinin, taşımacının kendisinin birebir hayatının içinde olan insanların katılabileceği mikro platformlar kurmaya çalıştık. Aslında bu bir yönetişim organı. Yani kentteki turizmin sektör bileşenleriyle birlikte konuları birlikte ele alacağı, birlikte tartışabilecekleri ve birlikte icraya dönüştürebilecekleri bir yapı. Şimdi bir yandan Büyükşehir Belediyesi'nin turizm projeleri devam ediyor. Şu ana kadar 35 tane Büyükşehir Belediyesi'nin önemli restorasyon projesi var. 17 tane turizme dokunan park projesi var. 16 tane meydan projesi var. 14 tane yarışma yapıldı. 7 tane yaşam vadisi dediğimiz bizim çok önemli büyük alanlardan oluşan vadimiz var. 6 tane ulaşım projemiz var. Yine şeye değiyor, turizme değiyor. 4 tane de kent ormanı. Dolayısıyla aslında bir taraftan Büyükşehir Belediyesi turizmin altyapısı olabilecek kamu alanlarını geliştirmeye devam ediyor. Ama bu sefer fark şu. Biz turizm platformu olarak tüm bu projenin içine girdik. Yani belediye normalde bu işi kendi tarafında, kendi bildiği tasarımcıyla, kendi süreçleriyle yapardı. Ama biz bu süreçlere girip müdahil olup bunların içeriğinde turizmin nasıl olması gerektiğini, işte araç sirkülasyonu mesela dikkate aldığında nasıl olması gerektiğini, örnek vereyim size mesela İstanbul'un ulaşım planlarında hiçbir zaman turizm sektörü ulaşım planının bir parçası olmamış. Yani asla şehir içi trafik modellendiği gibi turizm trafiği modellenmemiş ki bunun karşılığını şöyle anlatayım size. Son 2 haftadır Galata Port'tan çıkan otobüsler bizim tarihi yarımadamızdaki trafiği mahvediyor. Mahvediyor. Şimdi böyle bir ortamda hani bunu önden görüp bir analiz çalışması yapıp şu anda bir tarihi yarımadada turistik ulaşım ana planı yapmaya çalışıyoruz. Yani bu ucu ucuna yetişiyor. Bir yandan Galata Port'u işte buraya eriştirmek için otobüs yerine ek bir metro hattı, tramvay hattı koyarak dengelemeye çalışıyoruz. Dolayısıyla aslında turizmi çok bilmeyen kent yönetimi dünyasıyla turizmin dertlerini aslında dert edinen, onlarla birlikte kent yönetimine bunu aktaran bir rolümüz oldu. Uzun vadeli amaçlarımız da bu şöyle yatırımcı tarafı olduğu için onları da burada biraz ifade edeyim. Bizim kentte yapılan bazı projeleri uluslararası fonlardan arayışlarımız var. İşte mesela şu anda kentin tarihi surları neredeyse dünyanın en önemli tarihi surlarından bir tanesidir bu. Bizim Kültür Varlıkları Daire Başkanlığımız tarafından restore ediliyor ama hani bulunduğumuz ortam itibariyle bunun finansmanında zorlanıyoruz. Yani bu anlamda uluslararası fonlar, vakıflar vesaire gibi kurumlarla ilişki kurup bu değerlerin restorasyonunda tekrar kullanılması ile ilgili kaynak arayışımız var. Bunlar mesela bu tür fon arayışlarımız aslında biraz kültür işi olduğu için karşılıksız kaynak arayışları diyeceğimiz türde. Bir örnek daha, Büyükada'da mesela bu çok önemli bir yapıdır. Dünyanın en büyük ikinci ahşap yapısıdır bu gördüğünüz yapı. Rum yetimhanesidir. Avrupa'nın en büyük ahşap yapısıdır. Bunun restorasyonu için tüm projeleri yaptık. Tüm röleveleri vesaireleri çıkardık. İşte yaklaşık 30 milyon euro civarında bir şey gerekiyor. Bu mesela aslında biraz daha karşılığı olan bir şey. Yani burada bir yatırımcı gelip patrikhane ile görüşüp burada bunun kullanımını üstüne alıp burayı kullanabilir. Dolayısıyla ikinci bir başlık bizim için turizmciyle aslında yatırımcıyla birlikte geliştireceğimiz projeler var. Yani bir takım asetler var. Bizim tarafımızdan şu an çok etkin kullanılamıyor. Dolayısıyla uluslararası yatırımcılar buraya geldiği durumda bunları aslında işte bir yap işlet devlet olabilir, gelir paylaşımı olabilir, bir takım paylaşım modelleriyle geliştirmek istiyoruz. Bir örnek mesela son dönemde yaptık bunu. Bu bir sightsee turu. Daha önce özel bir firma tarafından yapılıyordu ve belediyeye çok düşük bir gelir bırakıyordu. Bunu mesela biz kendi içimizde belediye iştiraklerinden biriyle geliştirdik. Eski oranla şöyle söyleyeyim size, elde ettiğimiz gelir 35 kat arttı. Yani artık İstanbul halkı buradan artık doğru gelir elde ediyor. Dolayısıyla artık biz buradan elde ettiğimiz gelirleri İstanbul hakkında hizmet edecek projelere geliştirme şansına sahibiz. Burası mesela tarihi yarımada çok önemli bir yer. Neredeyse 90 dönümlük bir alan burası. Karasurların hemen dibinde Yedikule Hastanesi olarak bilinen bir alan. Burada mesela içinde turizm dejanında olan bir alandan bahsediyoruz. Büyüklük olarak tarihi yarımada 89 dönümlük, 90 dönümlük bir alan bulmak mümkün değildir. Tek alan, son kalan tek alan burası. Burada mesela yine bizim Kültür Varlıkları Daire Başkanlığımız bir gastronomi müzesi yapıyor ama o gastronomi müzesinin dışındaki alanlarda aslında nasıl bir otel olacak, o alan nasıl işletilecek, konser alanı mı olmalı gibi turizmin aslında kendi işlevleriyle burada rol alması gibi bir şeyimiz var, beklentimiz var. Bunun da şu anda araştırmasını, yatırımcı araştırmasını yapıyoruz. Yine turizm platformunda ortaya çıkan başka turlar var. Mesela az önce konuştuğumuz bir konu var. İstanbul'da karayolu üzerinden turisti taşımak çok zor. Halbuki bizim bütün ana omurgamız deniz üzerinde olabilir. Dolayısıyla biz aslında turiste yönelik yeni bir sistem kursak, bir hop on hop sistemi. Bu sistemle aslında hem şehrin üstteki trafik baskısını arttırmak, azaltmak hem de bir taraftan da daha modern ve daha çevreci bir yöntemle böyle bir sisteme ayağa kaldırmak mümkün olabilir. Kısıtlı kaynağımız için bunun için de mesela yatırımcı arıyoruz. Hani bunu yurt dışında, uluslararası ortamda yapan bir yapı varsa eğer İstanbul'da gelip bu sistemi bizimle birlikte ayağa kaldırmaları bekliyoruz doğrusu. Helikopter projesi. Niye benim şehrimde bir tane helikopter yok bilmiyorum. Bütün dünya şehirlerinde vardır biliyorsunuz. İşte Galata Port gibi bir yere insanlar biliyorsunuz sadece bir gününe gelebiliyor ve çoğunlukla İstanbul'u göremiyorlar bile. İşte Galata Port'ta konuştuk biz Galata Port ekibiyle. Onlar da iyi bir fikir dedi. Hani böyle bir şey bir saatte İstanbul'u kısa da olsa gezdirebilecek bir aracımız olsa, bunun da mümkünse uluslararası bir işletmecisi ve yatırımcısı olsa harika olur diye düşünüyoruz. Bunun dışında son başlığım sizin için biz tersten de aslında İTP'nin kendi bileşenleriyle birlikte dışarıdan gelen yatırımcılara destek olmaya çalışıyoruz. Yani buradaki yer bulma aşamasında destek olmaya çalışıyoruz. İşte planlama, ön fizibilite, due diligence çalışması gibi bir yatırımın öncül çalışma olan konularda kamu tarafında bütün bilgimiz ve know-how'umuzla da turizmciye sahayı şeffaf bir şekilde açmak gibi bir görevle davranıyoruz. Teşekkür ediyorum.
Thank you. We are convinced. We are convinced, and we like your ideas and the helicopter, and of course, you need to distribute them at a worldwide level, so probably you might need to have some international, not only investors, but as well partners. So thank you so much. We can probably discuss a little bit about that later. Now let us introduce Luisa Vinton, resident representative from the UNDP Turkey. She is the representative of the United Nations Development Program in the Republic of Turkey since May 2021, but has more than 30 years of experience in Europe and Central Asia. We have been talking about, the proposals, what, they want to do in the municipality here in Istanbul. We have been, analyzing a little bit about the city readiness, what Yolanda as well was mentioning about, how to cooperate, to work together, but how do you see a proper balance as we move, as we build back from the pandemic and we go back to sort of normal? How we balance between bringing attractions, bringing tourism, bringing investment, and balance the ecosystem and doing that in a way which is sustainable?
Thanks so much. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I wanted to say from the point of view of the United Nations Development Program, where our organizing structure are the Sustainable Development Goals, which seem complex but really boil down to sort of peace, prosperity, and the health of the planet, and leaving no one behind in that process. That from that starting point, we're arriving at very similar conclusions to the other speakers on the panels, particularly Yolanda, with an emphasis more on an integrated approach, but very much at the local level and developing things as much from the bottom up as from the top down. So when we look at tourism, and UNDP in Turkey is very much involved in sustainable tourism models, or green tourism, we're calling it, we see the benefits of tourism and of expansion, and we see already it plays a huge role in the Turkish economy with more than 10% of economic activity and employment. We see what happens when a pandemic hits and you subtract that from an economy. So we see, in terms of livelihoods and jobs, we see huge potential, and also in terms of balancing inequalities in a spatial sense. It can be helpful to go into areas that have very little industry, for example, and to promote the tourism industry. But we do see, as you're pointing out, a very crucial need to attain a balance because we do see that tourism can also be destructive. And I'm coming to Turkey from experience in Croatia, in Macedonia, and in Georgia. So there are at least 3 locations that have big coastal tourism industries starting up. And we do see that some of the models, the sand, sea, sun model, can be as destructive as it is productive to the local environment in particular, that if you expand too fast, you have too many numbers, you develop, especially in an uncontrolled fashion, you can compromise the attractiveness of the natural, beautiful, natural, pristine sea that you've brought people to visit. And I'm remembering an occasion where I was in Dubrovnik in Croatia, which is one of the beauties in terms of history, but also in terms of seacoast, and waking up one morning to see that the harbor was full of plastic garbage that had come in on a current that everyone blamed on Albania and later turned out to be from Italy. But anyway, the interconnectedness of the world shows that we need to pursue these goals everywhere, but also that in this some of the current models of tourism, we see the benefits go not so much to local communities as to bigger chains, or that employment is brought in from elsewhere, and there's a very short season, very concentrated, but very heavy burden on the local environment, but also on the local economy that then is not matched by seasonal evenness. So what we've been trying to do is to show that tourism can promote growth, but also protect nature. So not just end destruction of nature, but actively promote nature protection. And so in some senses, all of our nature protection programs have a tourism component. All of our tourism programs have a nature component. And one of the aims there is very much to move to a local identity basis, a local community basis, to go to local areas. For example, a village that has specialized in the past in growing and cultivating lavender, and turn that into a tourism opportunity where we would, working with our partners, we would provide some grants to set up guest houses, some training for local public, to creation of women's cooperatives to produce lavender products that would be picked up by supermarket chains, but really to build on local identity, local community, engage the local population in livelihood producing opportunities, and in the process to convince people that protecting nature is a benefit rather than a cost doing business. We see this sometimes can be an obstacle, that often local people say, well, okay, if you're protecting nature, you're going to close me off from the woods where I chop my fuel, or where I go to hunt or fish. But what we see is that when we show the way to a more sustainable option, for example, providing an alternative in terms of renewable energy as a home fuel, then we can convince the local population that developing the tourism features of their, whatever it happens to be, waterfall, historic walking trail, cheese, lavender, that can really be a source of local income and really address some of the inequalities we see in less balanced models of tourism.
It is clear that nobody understood the importance of tourism till they saw that there were no tourists around. So in a way, we as a not lobby, but as an organization that represent the private sector are like, at least our voices were here. But so thanks for your comments. So last but not least is Mr. Mehmet Kutman, who is the chairman and CEO of Global Investment Holding, today talking in behalf of Global Ports Holding, which is where he's the chairman. I was very happy yesterday when I landed. We landed in the airport, and we saw, this cruise line waiting for clients, and it makes me think, oh my God, they are going back, because your sector in particular has been really affected and damaged during the pandemic. So can you update us on the challenge from the perspective of ports and cruises? I don't know if he is. I think you're in mute. Can you hear?
Can you hear me, Maribel?
No, yes, perfect. Thank you.
Good. So can you repeat? I had trouble hearing it.
Yes, I was mentioning to the audience that yesterday when we landed here in Istanbul, we were very happy to see that some cruises were there at the airport waiting for clients to be, finally, we saw that the tourism is coming back. Your industry has been really affected during the last few years, and we would like you to hear from you if you could update us on the challenge that your industry had from the perspective of cruises and ports.
Thank you, Maribel. Well, first of all, let me say that the cruise industry, unfortunately, is seen as a step kid of the family in the cruise business, although it's probably one of the highest added value to local towns, especially, as well as the countries. Just to give you some numbers on that, it produces about 155 billion annually to the world economy. It employs over 1.5 million people, just the cruise industry, excluding the travel agents and the local people. So it's a big industry, to say the least. But unfortunately, during the pandemic, it became as a scapegoat through the media, unjustly, I must say, and the industry didn't manage the public relations very well as well, especially with the occasion in Japan, which happened with a specific ship. But those days are behind us. That's good to hear. We as Global, we are in 26 or 27 ports in 14 countries, close to 20 million passengers. We have over 35% market share in the Mediterranean and growing rapidly in the Caribbean, as well as expanding to the Alaska region as we speak. The industry, most of the fleet, over 90%, is working as we speak, and 100% of the ships in operation will be operational basically by the end of June at the latest. The problem has been the occupancy rates right now. The occupancy rates on average around the world is around 62%. And we hope to see, like the old days, over 100% occupancy rate by the third quarter of this year. So overall, the pandemic is behind us. We are very hopeful about the future. But most of the colleagues on the panel has mentioned a couple of things which are very relevant. Unfortunately, some of the cities that the cruise lines are visiting, unlike regular air travel or car travel, bus travel, these ships can contain up to 6,000 people. So take a city like Venice, when you offload 4 ships of 4, 5, 6,000, you have all of a sudden 20, 30, 40,000 people visiting the city, and San Marco place, it just can't accommodate. So the industry basically is working very hard. We're working very hard to diversify where the passengers should go. Rather than sending all of them simultaneously to San Marco place, the cruise lines are talking to each other together with Cribia to diversify where the people go. So that's very important. Unfortunately, it's having a negative impact on some of the cities like Venice, even Barcelona. Some people, the locals especially, are complaining from the tourism traffic. But the added value, just to give you an idea, the average spend for a home port is basically a destination where passengers embark and disembark. It's around $385 on average worldwide, whereas the transit ports benefit to the local economy about $100. This is excluding what they spend on hotels and or air travel as well. So it's a very big industry. The pandemic is behind us. The ship order, right now it's servicing 28, 29 million people. You have to multiply that by 7, so we're talking about 140 million people. And by 2030, it's going to reach 40 million people, the total capacity, berth availability. That's about 300 million people, which will be taking the cruise business by 2030. So we're hopeful. The pandemic is behind. That's the bottom line to your question.
Thank you. You know that your industry has been like pointed out with the finger sometimes when it comes to sustainability. What are the initiatives that are ongoing right now here to share with the audience so that you could, you know, when it comes to what are you doing to build back sustainability to this
Yeah,
sector?
that is a very, very good question. I think the industry is much more sensitive than any other industry in the tourism sector. Just to give you from Global Ports view, let's say, or from our own window, we have environmental practices are under our spotlight. We're very careful of that. All our terminals and that the new ones that we built, as well as our ports, will be self-sufficient, i.e. they'll be solar powered. We work with local authorities in order to enable the LNG provisioning, which ships are going to LNG slowly. But the most important for me is 28% of our senior leadership are female, and approximately 42% of our employees are female worldwide. That to me is the most important. The day we reach over 50%, it will be, I think, a home run for me personally. We always hire 100% locally. We don't ship people internationally. Employee wellness development as well as training programs are a crucial part of global ports. Health and safety and environmental policies are very important. We always, for where we build terminals as well as shopping arcades in our ports, we always prioritize local tenants. We never carry international brands from one destination to another. We have green ports, safe travel, and eco port certification at most of our ports. And within the port, no trucks with diesel can come. It's always electrical vehicles within the port. Now, going to the industry, which has taken much more important and bigger steps than the rest of the tourism industry. One, they promised that they will go by 2050 to net zero emission, all industry. The second thing is waste reduction. 100% of the ships will be equipped with wastewater treatment. The most important thing, which really is one of the issues, for example, for Venice, is the sustainable destinations. More to diversify products and distribute the passenger rather than all of them going to some market in one go. And finally, more LNG ship is coming to the market as we speak. So those are the sustainable efforts of global ports. But again, I want to stress the fact that the cruise industry, in my personal view, has been much more sensitive to the sustainability factor compared to other members of the cruise overall.
Thank you. Actually, there is a responsibility that not only as our companies we have, but as well media, we should highlight all the things that are happening in a good way for the good of our sector. So thanks for sharing. I'd like to go back to Dan and ask him about citizens, because they play an important role when it comes to sustainability. It's very important that they accept that tourists, they are not affected by what is happening in their cities. How can we help them to really know how important it is for them that tourists are coming to their city, but at the same time they are benefiting from it?
Yeah, I think here's an important part, Mary Bell, when it comes to citizens. If you think about it, it used to be that people thought that if we just tell the citizens the economic benefit of tourism, that was enough. That if they just learned that there was money going into the economy, there were things like that, that was enough. But here's really what we're learning. And that is, citizens want to know, how is tourism working with them on their quality of life also? And how are they taking steps to make sure that when it comes to their ability to function and have a successful and have a high quality of life in their destination, that the tourism leadership is actually thinking about that with them. We heard a couple of things even in the conversations that have gone on around diversion and around the whole point of making sure that, the Istanbul comments about traffic and having had a chance to think about that in advance and have the citizens know that we, from a tourism industry perspective, we are thinking about those things. And we also have to think about the fact that there are times when it's more about visitor management and not so much more visitors. So how do we make sure that we're thinking about certain parts of our destinations or our countries and how we manage visitation and making sure the citizens know that's what we're doing? Because I think there is a perception of a citizen that what all tourism does is promote more visitors. And so when they hear about tourism or when they hear about tourism campaigns, they tend to think that just means more. Well, maybe in certain places it means better visitor management, diversion of activities, the kind of things I think we've heard today. Important role for the tourism industry going forward.
Thank you. Jan, what about the citizens here in Istanbul? What do they think about tourism? How do you communicate with them to really know if they are happy, if they are on board, what all the initiatives that you are developing?
May I answer it in Turkish?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I will just go.
Turizmde biliyorsunuz iki tane kesim var. Bir ziyaretçi kesim, bir de ev sahibi kesim. Ev sahibi kesim her zaman turistin fazla olmasından bir stres duyar. Çünkü yaşamına olan bir ekstra bir etki vardır. Trafik etkisi vardır, kullanım etkisi vardır. Fiyatlar pahalanır. Dolayısıyla bu yönetilmesi gereken aslında Birleşmiş Milletler tarafından söylediği çok doğru. Lokal toplumların hayat standartlarını iyileştirmesi, sürdürülebilir kılması gereken bir işlevdir. Ama turizm çok yıkıcı bir şeydir. Eğer kontrol etmezseniz doğayı da tahrip eder, mekanı da tahrip eder. İnsanların yaşamaya çalıştıkları yerlerde yaşamaya çalışmalarını mümkün kılan faktörler ortadan kaldırır. Dolayısıyla aslında bizdeki durum şu. Tarihi Yarımada mesela baktığınız zaman çok turistik diyebileceğiniz bir norma dönmüş durumda. Oradaki yerli insanlar artık çok da Tarihi Yarımada yaşamak istemiyor. Son yapılan anketler Fatih bölgesinde, özellikle son göçleri de katarak söylüyorum, İnsanların neredeyse %45'inin ilk ekonomik fırsatları olduğunda bölgeyi terk etmek istediklerini söylüyor. Bu endişe verici bir durum. Bizim yaptığımız bazı başka çalışmalar var. İşte Prens Adaları diye bildiğimiz adalar bölgesinde mesela son dönemde yaz aylarında 16 bin nüfuslu olan adalara ayda 500 bin nüfus civarında nüfus gittiği için orada da inanılmaz doğa tarafında yıkıcı sonuçlar olmaya başladı. Orman yangınları yaşandı. Dolayısıyla adalılar son dönemde aslında turist istemiyor. Başka bir örnek, işte Kuzguncuk diyebileceğimiz Boğaz köylerinden bir tanesinde o bölgenin insanı kendi huzurlarının kaçtığını, yeni gelen dükkanların kaldırımları işgal ettiğini, işte ses ve gürültü anlamında o bölgenin dokusunun, sosyal dokusunun bozulduğunu söylüyor. Haksız da değiller. İyi yönetilemeyen turizm hoşnutsuzluk yaratıyor. Bu Den'in söylediği çok doğru. Yani bu bölgeyi iyi tanımak, bu ziyaretçi yönetimi kavramını Destination Management Office üzerinden iyi anlamak kent yönetiminin ve sektörün temel hedefi olmalı. Aksi durumda turizm aslında kattığı değer kadar zarar da veren bir işlev gibi duruyor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This question that I'm going to ask now is going to be for Yolanda and Dan as well. There is a role that we need to, with the SMEs, the little and medium companies, many times they are the ones attracting. What I'm going to travel to, I don't know, Turkey because I want to go to the Grand Bazaar, or why I want to go to Morocco, or what I want to go to Italy to buy clothes. But now little companies and SMEs have been really affected by COVID, and now what are we doing to help them to recover and to maintain and have a resilience plan for the future for them? So I don't know, Dan or Yolanda, if you want to start.
Yeah.
Yolanda? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yolanda?
I don't know if he
Yeah.
was.
There you go, and then maybe Dan can respond. Yeah.
I think this goes back to what we were saying before. We have to have a single vision. Before this gentleman from, I think Capital Partners was the name of the company who made the keynote before, he was making a very inspiring point because he was talking about a new development that he was managing personally from beginning to end. So he knew about the model, he knew how to finance it, and he did a plan to do so, and then he incorporated other investors. That's the ideal plan, and actually I thought it was quite visionary, what he was mentioning, also in terms of positioning, product, and actually at the end when he was talking about well-being and natural, so I think it was perfect. The challenge is, how do you do that at a bigger scale, in an already development destination? Because the one he was mentioning, it was a new one, and actually he took good care that there were opportunities for the locals, that there was a positive impact, that they were preserving heritage, and actually he had projects to keep the ecological part, and also I think regarding even handcraft. So I thought the model was perfect. So if we want to do the same thing in already established destinations that are already there, that have been there for many years, in the Mediterranean for many years, then you have to incorporate the same principles. How do you do that? Then you have to have a single vision and a single plan. And you have to have, again, leadership. And then in that case, those small and medium enterprises, those small stakeholders have a chance. And then you also have a chance to attract investment in an intelligent way, because right now there are many different initiatives, but then are you really investing the right way to achieve that single goal that you should have? And I think this is missing, because right now what we see is a very short-term perspective. It's also related, of course, to a political scale, because you have elections afterwards, and you need to get objectives very, very, very, very fast. But at some point, you have to think of a legacy, and you have to think that you have to have a long-term plan, and it's only at that point that you are also benefited by your own vision, because things happen faster than you think. But this a perception that you have to do things because they are the right thing to do, and because you do that, that's going to be good for everybody, is not something that is very well perceived or is part of our mentality in many countries of the world. And it's only then that when you think, I'm going to do the right thing, and that's going to be, even if I see it or if I don't see it, that you are providing an opportunity. And I think that's really the perspective to have.
What about you, Dan, that you are,
Mary Jo, I think just to add to that a little bit, and it's been commented even in the comments related to the cruise industry and their focus too, is without those locally owned small businesses that are delivering experiences that are unique, to the destination or to the country, if you imagine taking those away, like if you just literally went into a destination, you took those all out, you have dramatically changed the visitor experience. And we believe, frankly, that's what visitors are coming for. They want those experiences. But what we think that the pandemic taught us is that we have to figure out ways to support those businesses and have a plan for those businesses that are different than just any small business. So these are businesses that we know have that broader tourism impact and bring that uniqueness to the visitor. And some countries finally in the pandemic started to get that. And there were dollars that were being funded through tourism organizations to businesses that had that type of impact. And I think it's something we've got to think about going forward, because that local restaurateur or local retailer, that particular business really can be the key to a whole visitor experience, and we have to celebrate that even stronger as an industry than I think we have historically.
Thank you. We have no more time. I just want to use the opportunity to ask 30 seconds for each of you, starting with you, Luis. Your question is totally different. I'm going to tell you now, for the rest of the panelists, my question would be, tell me in 30 seconds what, from your own different vision perspectives, government, public sector needs to do to attract investment, international investment, because it's what it's all about today. And for you is, tell us a little bit, in 30 seconds, maybe 45, what is the role of a multilateral agency like yours when it comes to facilitate a sustainable recovery? Thank you. So,
start with me.
You start.
Yes. Thank you very much. No, I would say it's very clearly our role is to partner with all sectors, so with the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, but also with the private sector, in particular to achieve these broader goals. So I would say, on the one hand, to work with the existing big tourism operators in big established tourism places to reduce the burden on the environment. Just to give one example, we're working together with Energisa, which is part of the Sabancı Group, to introduce super energy efficient solutions and renewable solutions in Ayvalık, in one specific location, to try to create a model that others can adopt and spread everywhere. The second one would be to try to promote the attractiveness of areas that have something but need support in getting tourists to come there in the first place. So broadening this offering to other places, but taking a specific cultural attribute, a beautiful natural location, a cultural tradition, working with the local community, because I think that's key in the answer to a lot of the questions we're talking about here, is it needs to come from the local population. They need to see it as a source of pride and a source of income, but to work with them to develop the attributes to attract the tourists in the first place so that it can be a source of livelihood and fighting the inequality we see in some places.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your time, 30 seconds.
Bizim tarafımızda büyük yatırımcı çekmek ya da uluslararası örgütlerle illa büyük programlar geliştirmek gibi duygu yok. Biz aslında biraz daha sosyal turizm kavramını geliştirmeyi, biraz daha kentin kendi işlevlerinin toparlamasını, hani yeni yatırımcı, daha büyük yatırımcı, mega projeler yapalım falan gibi bir düşünce içinde değiliz. Biz zaten potansiyelleri güzel olan bir coğrafyayız. Hani Avrupa ile Asya'yı birbirine bağlayan kentiz. Bundan daha değerli bir şey yok. Bizim burada bulunduğumuz topraklarda zaten Bizden önce başka medeniyetler yaşamış. Doğamız da güzel, yemeğimiz de güzel. Yani zaten kendi kapasitelerimizde iyiyiz. O yüzden bizim aslında şu anda yapmamız gereken şey yatırımcı tarafında aslında önce kendi içinde bulunduğumuz değerleri bir kullanmayı daha verimli, daha düzgün, birbirimizle çatışmadan doğru değer alabilecek şekilde yeniden örgütlemek. Çünkü yeni bir yatırımcı çekmeye çalışmakla mücadele etmek yerine elimizdeki değerlerin karşılığını almayı daha önemli buluyoruz. Yani biz burada bir üretim yapıyoruz, servis veriyoruz. Bu başka ülkelere oranla 1/3 fiyatına ise eğer bizim düzeltmemiz gereken yeni yatırımcı, büyük yatırımcı değil aslında. Kendi coğrafyamızdaki olan bir tane tekrar bakmaktır. Teşekkür ediyorum.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Goodman, please.
Well, thank you very much. I think I'm going to sum up, hopefully in 45 seconds, making it very quickly. The part which is critical about global ports is the integration of the local community as well as the cruise passengers. That's very important for us because at the end of the day, we have concessions of 25 to 50 years, and we are just a tenant. So if the local people are not happy, the government is not happy, and eventually they can kick us out. So in every port that we acquire or we have the concession, we make sure that the port is fully integrated to the local community. For example, in Nassau, basically at the retail part of the equation, at the port, everything is local, and so far the locals have been selling goods made in China, for example. We instigated a program. I think we're spending over $8 million, close to $10 million. One, for green transportation outside the port in the Bay Street area. Two, to develop products which will be again sold or shown at the port, completely local made rather than imported and sold. So those are important steps, and that we try to do in every port that we operate. I integrate the local SMEs with the port operations, hence being able to make sure that the small mom and pop guy has the same opportunity that the other big ones have. And we refrain completely with putting international brands in our ports. Having said that, I want to touch upon, while somebody from IBB is there, I want to touch upon about something very important for me, which is basically a home port turnaround. We cannot have a cruise port operation, and the brand name is really, I'm the father of the brand name, Galata Port. You cannot have a cruise operation where the cruise port is located as we speak. The cruise port should have a proper cruise port where it's home port, which will accommodate 4 to 6 big ships. I'm talking about 350 LOA minimum ships with enough capacity, and those ships should have a bus transportation maybe to the old town, but at the same time there should be an old rail link. We made a proposal for our government. We're waiting for the tender basically, but that is crucial for the development of the city, for Istanbul, as well as for the cruise industry, because Istanbul in the East Mediterranean region is probably the only location which can have a proper home port, especially if they work in coordination with Turkish Airlines, which is one of the front airlines around the world.
Thank you.
Having
Thank you
said
very
that,
much.
thank you, Maribel.
Thank you. Dan, please. 30 seconds.
Here's what I would say, Mary Bell. The days of a feasibility study being all that you need when it comes to making a decision about investment, those days are over, right? So the traditional feasibility study is not enough anymore. When it comes to someone making a significant investment in a destination in a country, we have to be able to go to investors, showing them that we have a comprehensive plan. Not only that we have a market, but that we have more than that. So the days of the feasibility study being all that it takes are over, and we have to bring more to the investors going forward.
Thank you. And Yolanda, last but not least. Thank you.
When we are now working for destinations and we do a strategy for them, they all ask us for an investment attraction plan. And what we're doing is we are aligning that to the strategy itself. To every step of it, it makes a lot more sense. It makes a lot more sense for potential investors because the strategy itself generates so many business opportunities that it's clear what it is. So I think here, what is clear is that you have to have a clear approach, alignment among the key stakeholders, and when you have that, and it's long term, and you have the investment plan also aligned to it, it's a lot easier, it's obvious people see that there are business opportunities, and then that helps you build your own destination. It is a lot more logical than having like an external agency trying to attract investors without understanding the tourism business itself.
Thank you very much. I hope you all learn a little bit today. Thank you very much, and see you next year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your participation. Thank you for being with us. It's a great pleasure to have you here on the stage in Istanbul. You'll be back. Volver aquí por nuevo, por favor. Cuando quieras. Gracias por participar a nuestros.